might be time for a new machine. I've had nothing but tech difficulties this morning. Oh my goodness. Hi! Welcome. Welcome to Whiskey and Wool. My name is Shannon, and I am coming to you from northern New Jersey. Thank you so much for coming and spending a little time with me today. I am going to talk about my knitting and spinning today, and all the yarny things. I hope you're well. How are you? Are you hanging in there? Is everything okay in your neck of the woods? Maybe you're not feeling well and you're just watching something that you don't have to concentrate too much on. This is it. Because the beauty of YouTube videos is that you can always rewind if you miss something, or you can fast forward if you're not interested in something. This is the first time I've recorded today that my computer hasn't cut out after like 30 seconds. So we're doing good. We're doing good. All right. I am going to begin this episode, as I begin all the episodes, by sending you to the Whisky Chat. And it is spring is sprung here, and I have lots of spring footage, which you probably already watched a little bit of it. I have a lot of like little short clips of flowers and stuff that have been springing in the neighborhood, which is really nice to see. And the grass is finally greened up again, and it looks really pretty. Anyway, Whisky Chat. So I am going to now send you over to the Whisky Chat, and I have no idea what I'm going to be tasting for you, as I will be doing that later on this evening. I will see you back here. And if you're not interested in the Whisky Chat, I will tell you where to skip to. Hi, I'm going to do a little Whisky Chat with you today. We are going to taste Glen Scotia 18-year. It's from my whiskey advent calendar that I got in 2020. I have put it a little bit in. I have poured this. It's a one-shot dram, so I've poured it into the dram so you can see the color quite well. I've also added a couple drops of water, as is customary for me when I'm tasting whiskey. That is actually the best way to taste whiskey. Professional whiskey tasters will tell you to sniff and taste before you put a water drop in, and then put water in, and then let the water sort of mingle in the glass, give it a little swirl to mix it in, and then do the same taste and sip. And generally speaking, the couple drops of water will open up the whiskey flavors and really help you taste more than just that burn that you get initially. Okay. I think I've talked about Glen Scotia before. I'd have to go back and look at my notes. But I've definitely talked about Campbelltown, which is where Glen Scotia is located. Campbelltown is a whiskey region in its own right. There are 3 distilleries, which you need 3 distilleries in order to be considered a whiskey distilling area. These 3 are Glengyle. Wait a minute. I think it's Glengyle, Springbank. I know it's Springbank, Glen Scotia, and I think the 3rd is Glengyle, if I recall right. Anyway, putting the map on here so you could see the region. It's off of the west coast of Scotland, not so far from Glasgow. Glen Scotia was established in 1832 by, I think I have a picture here of the family, by James Stewart and John Galbraith. And I have a picture here. I'm not sure who's in this picture. I assume either James Stewart or John Galbraith is in that image there, along with employees of the distillery. So at the point that Glen Scotia was established, the area was booming. There were about 30 distilleries in that area. And then In the 1900s, in the early 1900s, 1923-ish, a company that supplied fuel to the region closed. And so that just began this sort of downward turn for the region. And many of the distilleries closed. By 1929, only 3 were open. And they were Glen Scotia, Springbank, and Ré-Clacon, which I know I've talked about. I think I've talked about them in relationship with Springbank. And then in 1930, Glen Scotia went silent. And it was purchased and reopened again in 1933, but then Ré-Clacon closed its doors and went silent, leaving only 2 distilleries again, so it could not be considered a region. And then in 1984, Glen Scotia fell silent again for 5 years, and there was only 1 distillery, Springbank. And then, things happened. The economy globally got better, and in the UK it got better, and Glengyle opened again in 2000. And oh my goodness, my cat, he was great in my whole other video, but now he's just going crazy. Sorry about the extraneous noises, like the squeaky mouse. Yeah. Anyway, Glen Scotia is now owned by the Loch Lomond Group, which owns many distilleries, which I always talk about. I always talk about which ones they own, or the one, if I'm tasting one from a distillery that they own, I mention them. So I have mentioned them several times because I think they own, I don't remember all the ones they own, but they own a bunch. So Glen Scotia changed hands a few times, now owned by Loch Lomond, and they were bought by them in 2014. And yeah, what do they make? Let's see. They've got a pretty nice line. I think you have readily, if I said Glen Scotia whiskey, you would probably, and you knew nothing about whiskey, you would probably recognize that as a brand. It would be a familiar brand to you. The bottles are usually clear, so you see the golden liqueur. The boxes are black or gold. There is one green one for one of the rarer ones. This box is gold of the 18-year. They make a 15-year, 12-year, a couple special editions, 25-year. I think you probably would most commonly see the 15-year though. Okay, so this 18-year spent most of its life, after it was distilled, it spent its aging life in a sherry cask, in an Olorosa sherry cask, which are from Spain, the Spain region, Olorosan region of Spain. So we would expect that, the cat is totally distracting me. Sherry imparts flavors that are usually very fruity, often dried fruit flavors, so these more rich, intense, concentrated fruit flavors versus a glass of juice. So I would expect that. The region does both peat and unpeated whiskeys, and Glen Scotia does peated and unpeated whiskeys. Also, I think this retails for around $140 US dollars, or around about 90 pounds, Great British pounds. Okay, let me go ahead and taste, and then I will take a look at the tasting notes from the experts. Okay, so right off the top, you get, it's not very woody. For an 18-year, often it seems like 20 plus years, you are always going to get those wood sort of tones in the smell. So this doesn't have much wood. There's some deep toffee, and it's definitely fruity, kind of fruitcake-ish, which you would expect, like you'd get fruitcake flavors with dried fruit. Wow, okay. I remember a couple weeks ago or a couple episodes back, I talked about the car upholstery taste. There's like a car upholstery taste. It's good though. I mean, that's towards the end. Okay, very sweet up front. That sweetness has sort of a burnt sugar taste. So whether that for you means toffee or burnt sugar or caramel, it's that right up front. Then the dried fruits, just like you would expect from a sherry cask aging process. There's a little bit of vanilla. And then at the very end, there's sort of this like you put your mouth on your dad's leather coat or something. Like there's some sort of like dad flavor. I know, not very appealing, right? It happens though. It happens in some of these whiskeys where you get these really sort of weird flavors. Like there's one that has like a really strong fishy, oily fish taste in it, which sounds so weird, but with all the other things going on, it's like very complimentary. I like this actually. I would drink this. I would have a bottle of this on hand. This would probably be something that I would keep more for this isn't like an everyday drink this all the time every day whiskey or every week whiskey. This would be more like, on those celebratory occasions, not like milestone celebratory occasions, but like, have some. It's so good. All right, let's see what the experts say. And I'm going to get you back to the wool because I was really talking. I'm going to have a lot of editing to do. Okay. I have 2 expert profiles. This one says you should be tasting vanilla, raisins, brine, toffee, honey, and almonds. So on the nose, crispy saltiness, perfumed floral notes, thick, sweet toffee, just like I'd said. And then on the palate, rich vanilla and fruit flavor. So when you combine vanilla and fruit, that's when you get that fruit cake taste, because that's what fruit cake is. Those are the flavors of fruit cake. Also, sultans, which are dried apricots. Long, dry, warm, gentle, warm spice finish. Interesting. Okay. So nothing about that weird car leathery taste. This other profile says dried fruit, spicy, black pepper, and smoke. I don't taste smoke. Okay, so maybe it's that at the end, smoke, pine, fire, leather, and salt. Oh, there is definitely salt. There's definitely like a salty finish. So that's the finish. I don't taste the spice so much in this. Like I've tasted other whiskeys that have a lot more of a spiciness to it. This has a subtle spiciness. I'll pop the flavor wheel on screen here so you can see what I'm talking about. And anyway, I hope you get a chance to try a glass of your own and enjoy the rest of the episode. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that. Last time I recorded and posted, a viewer commented that she'd be interested in gin, like me tasting gin and talking to you about gin. I do not need any encouragement for that because gin is probably my go-to hard liquor whenever I'm if I want a mixed drink, I'm going to have probably a gin and seltzer with a dash of bitters. That is my go-to drink for pretty much year round, but even more so, I find I drink that even more so in the spring and summer, in the warmer months. It's very refreshing with like a squeeze of lime or lemon or orange. So yeah, I don't need any encouragement. So I might be putting in a couple gin chats in the future. So definitely thinking about ways. I don't know what there is to talk about with gin, so I got to figure that part out. Anyway, yeah, knitting. Let's talk about knitting. I do have in this episode, before I talk about knitting, there is a substantial spinning project I've been working on, and that has taken a lot of my time, and it's going to be a big part of towards the end, after the knitting episode. It's probably about a third of this total episode, I would say, because I put the footage all together that I pre-recorded as I was working on the project, and yeah, it's about 20 minutes on its own, so I'll edit it down though. Anyway, I have a FO. I just finished this last night. I didn't think I was gonna make it. I was thinking in my head, oh, I'm gonna wear it with like one sleeve partially done. But yeah, so this is my FO, this beautiful 100% cashmere sweater. Here's what's left. I bought 8 balls of the Qing fiber Vera base, which is 100% cashmere. It's a fingering weight cashmere yarn, and yeah, it came out exactly the way I wanted it to. This is the rye layering tee by my own pattern. It's my own pattern. This is probably I think this is the 5th or 6th one of the pattern that I've made. It's just a really nice scoop neck, set in sleeve, or like right along your shoulder line, set in sleeve sort of construction. The pattern is written so that you can insert any rib knit stitch you want, or you can even just do stockinette if you want. If you wanted a basic crew neck t-shirt, you can do sleeveless, you can do shorts, any sleeve length you want, of course, like you can with any pattern. But yeah, it's a nice scoop neck. There's also a modification for a button placket. And yeah, I did modify this version a little bit. I didn't put any decreases on the sleeve because I wanted some nice open floaty sleeves on this one, because I'm planning for this to be probably more of an outer piece, a layering outer piece that I will wear more in the spring-like weather. So and even in the summertime, on cool summer evenings, especially like in the beach areas around my house, I have friends that have beach houses and stuff that I visit. Hopefully, if the pandemic is over, I'll be visiting. But yeah, I thought it would just be really great for that type of thing, as well as like maybe an under next to skin layer for the chilly months in the winter. So, but yeah, I really, really love it. I'll put a picture in of me wearing it, or like a full-length me, how I look right now, so you can see how it looks. Yeah, not much else to say about it. Yeah, really, really nice. The half and half triangle wrap by Purl Soho. It is not finished yet. You can see the needle poking out here. I am doing a color block version, so I have talked about this so many times already this year. I cast it on right after the holidays, and I've been plugging away on it. Oh, I have a question for you, actually. I'll show you a picture of this one flat out on ground so you can see the whole thing from like a bird's eye view. But where's the... Oh, let me explain the yarn first before I ask the question. Okay, so this is the plan for how the design will look. So yeah, I am knitting on this section right here. The yarn I'm using, that's the way it's going to look. That's the rough of how it's going to look. The yarn I'm using is Yin-yang yarn from Loop Fiber Studio. She is a indie yarn maker and dyer in upstate New York, like near, kind of close to where Rhinebeck is. I can't remember exactly where she, oh, she's in the, I think she's in the area where the old glove makers are. I think it's called Gloverstown, actually. I think she's there. I think she's in that area. Anyway, the yin-yang thing, which you can see pretty well here. Let me turn Martha around. So this is like, these are her, I think these were her first two colors, or maybe the inspiration. So this was yin and yang. So, yeah, so they're complementary. One has more white, the other one has more black. And she did the same thing with many other colors. So in this shawl, I've also used the two yellows, which I think you can see. This is the lighter, this is the brighter. There's two shades of pink, there's blue, there's brown, there's burgundy. There's a lot of colors. You can check her out on Etsy. Her shop's on Etsy. I have been planning, I'm back to my sketch now. There. I had been planning to use blue after I'm done with the bright yellow, because I'm on that bright yellow section. But I got this feeling, I got this like sort of thought a few days ago that maybe what I should use in place of the blue is the lighter pink color. So I ordered it, and it's not here yet, but it'll be here. It's one, I just need one skein. So I went ahead and ordered that, and I might save this like for another project. What do you think? Do you like that idea? The lighter pink. So then the entire shawl will just be three colors, really. It'll be 2 shades of yellow, 2 shades of pink, and 2 shades of gray, so to speak, right? Black and white. But not true black or true white, rather than 4 colors, right? Yeah, I don't know what to do. This I had in my stash, so I actually I saw she had the lighter blue too, and I was like, should I get the lighter blue? Then I have the dark blue and the light blue for some project, but I stopped myself because she'll have it when I want it. I don't need to have that sitting in my stash where I'm like staring at it, wondering why did I buy it. So yeah, let me know what you think, like what you think color wise, like what do you think? Should I just do that? It would be simpler, and it would bring pink and yellow together, which I like a lot. I like those colors together. I like the way they look on both sides. Anyway, choices. I don't know. I don't really think, it doesn't seem like there's a wrong thing to do. So yeah, that is those two. I did make a little bit of progress on my stone crop cardigan that I cast on. It was a new cast on last time I spoke with you. And I've gotten to the point now where I have split for the sleeves. Yeah, so it is, boy, the yarn really smells. I think I said this before, it has like sort of an insecticide, it smells almost like bug spray smell. It's getting a little better, like it airs out, but as soon as I get out a new skein, it's like the whole airing out process has to start over again. So yeah, I am using, what smelly yarn am I talking about? I am talking about, oh, I don't have a, talking about this, which is Ranch. Yeah, so the main color is the new Brooklyn Tweed Ranch 03 in the colorway Pluot. It is, I think it's merino. Is it merino colorway Pluot. It is a sport weight yarn. It is worsted spun. It's nice and spongy and squishy. I love the yarn. Yeah, it's merino. So it's their series. So they've done Ranch 1, Ranch 2, and Ranch 3. This is the third in the series. And what they do is get a single ranch, a single farm, and take the wool from that single farm and then make a small batch. So it's like kind of small batch wool. But yeah, I really, really love the way it feels. I think I'm going to love this sweater. I can't wait to wash away the smell. Yeah, stinky. The other yarn, the contrast in my sweater, is Spin Cycle. I am using a Summer Love-ish colorway, and the blue-green at the top is a little dab of Cataclysm that I had. I saved a bit of it for the sweater lower down once I'm finished with this skein. So I think I made the stone crop before. I made a blue-green version, and I used I used Stay Out of the Forest, if you know the Spin Cycle colors, which is kind of a bright orangey red, yellow. It's brighter, it's more keyed up than their Rusted Rainbow color, if you're familiar with the Spin Cycle yarns. So yeah, I wanted to do I really wanted to do a colorwork sweater combining these two yarns because I just thought they would go together really well, and I love the way they're knitting up. I think they look amazing. These, the ranch really shows good texture, and the Spin Cycle just really gives you a nice little pop of color. So yeah, this will be primarily the gold color. Anyway, what I was saying is I made this before, and I used 1.2 skeins of Spin Cycle. So I'm kind of thinking that's about where I'll land. It'll primarily be this gold Summer Love color. So yeah, man, I'm really enjoying knitting on this. It has been, it's just been going along so fast, and it is, I don't think we knit too much for the body. I want to say it's like 10 or 11, somewhere in that 10 to 12 inch range for the body. So yeah, it'll probably be, I may be done with the body by the next episode. It just depends on how distracting other things are. I did not make too much progress on my watermelon sweater, which is this here. I just knit maybe a tiny bit, and I'm not really going to talk too much about this because I didn't knit very much. I knit maybe an inch of it. I was trying to finish this sweater, and when I wanted something different, I knit on this. So I did, because I did get quite a bit done. I finished the pink off, and then I got probably about a third of the way into the yellow on that. And then I did a little bit on the Stone Crop cardigan. I did not knit my stripes sweater at all, which is really kind of ironic because I cast on both the Stone Crop and the stripes sweater. They were new cast-ons for me last time, 2 weeks ago. And they were new cast-ons because they're Andrea Mowry designs, and she has a cal going on right now through the end of May. And I thought, I cast on stripes, and then I wasn't that happy with it, and then the ranch yarn came, so I cast on the Stone Crop. And the stripes has kind of been sitting on the wayside, you know, because it's just 4 sweaters. Having 4 works in progress that are sweaters is too many sweaters to have works in progress. And this has happened to me before, but that I have too many works in progress. But it's fine. It's all good. I only have 1 sweater in my WIP graveyard, and it is a Christmas sweater. So that is why it's sitting there right now. It is also an Andrea Mowry pattern, and it occurred to me that I should take it out and work on it during this cal. But she said there's new cals coming up, so I'll work it in to a cal down the road that will, or whatever. I don't need it again until Thanksgiving or so. So I have quite a while, and I was zooming along on it. I just stopped working on it because I needed to get some Christmas gifts done. So yeah. Anyway, going back to this whip, in case you're new here and this is your first time watching my episode, this is the watermelon sweater. It is a Bauhaus stickening pattern from the book Bauhaus Stickening. Do I have it? Oh, I know, it's over on the bed because I was brainstorming a new sweater out of that book. So I don't have it to show you, but I'll put a picture on screen of it. And a picture of what the original sweater looked like. It was a dark green body, and most of these much duller colors here in the yoke. The watermelon part comes in this pink to green fade that happens in the color work. I have talked so much about this in the past when I was in the midst of working on the yoke. I'm now on the easy stockinette body, and I expect to make a lot more progress on this now that the cashmere rye layering tee is done. So yeah. Still planning on getting this done. And it's it's so funny. I was watching every morning when I get up, I don't function when I first wake up in the morning. It's all I can do to brush my teeth and get the cat fed and get a cup of coffee. And I make a beeline for the couch, and I sit on the couch drinking my coffee and knitting something or maybe spinning something for about 45 minutes, where I just let my brain wake up. I just have a really hard time doing any complex tasks. I can do it, of course. I mean, if I had to jump out of bed and get out of the house because of some emergency, I could do it for sure. But it takes me a little time for my brain to start waking up and start to where I can do more than just kind of be slack-jawed. And yeah. So every morning when I get up in that period of time, it's like from 6:30 or 7 until about 8 o'clock in the morning, I watch knitting podcasts or knitting YouTube channels as I sit there. So I look for something. So anyway, I watch a lot of knitting channels because a lot of knitting content because of that. Basically for about 1 hour or 45 minutes or an hour, I'm watching something new every day. So anyway, I've been watching a lot, and I've noticed that a lot of people are working on very bright, springy, colored objects, and I'm like, well, darn, my last cast on is pretty dark and kind of fall-like. But then I was thinking, but all of these other things that I'm working on are very bright and spring-like, so I guess I was feeling a little FOMO, a little fear of missing out, of that maybe I should be working on something bright and colorful. But actually I've been working on nothing but bright and colorful, so yeah, don't need to worry about that. I was watching this morning Felicia Lowe of Sweet Georgia Fibre. Every Friday she does a 15 or 20 minute episode where she just talks about what she's knitting on, and she has this beautiful bright blue yarn that she cast on a couple days ago, and it's so pretty, so pretty. Watch, a couple weeks from now you'll be seeing me with some bright blue yarn. So I showed you, this kind of leads into spinning. So I showed you 2 weeks ago in my last episode, I showed you some yarn that I made that I caked it. This beautiful wool mohair, and I think there's a little silk and there's some sparkle in there. And I do think there's a little bit of nylon. Not a lot, but a little bit. I think maybe 10%. It was these little batlings that I bought from Green Goat Ranch last year. And I just, bought them for my stash with no plan. And I decided just to go ahead and spin it as a palette cleanser because I was not sure what I wanted to spin for next. and I didn't really have a plan, so I was like, let me just spin up some of these single skein quantities of fiber that I have. And as I was working on this, I was thinking like this yarn would make really cozy socks with the mohair content in it, and they're just really, really pretty. Because I've realized, like, last year I had a friend of mine, we did some exchanging between, I put a call out actually on this channel, and I asked if there was anyone who would want to bargain hand knitting me socks, and I would spend for them. So I would do hand spun yarn that I would gift to them to do whatever they like with, and they would knit me some socks out of some of my single skein sock weight stash yarn that I had. So I befriended a woman through that process, and she knit a lot of socks for me for about a year. We had an exchange. It was maybe a little less than a year. It was maybe like 7-8 months. So we had an exchange of, I would ship her sock yarn and hand spun yarn, and she would ship me back socks. And she made me this pair, and these are out of, I've washed them, and I've worn them a lot. I love this pair of socks. This is from sock yarn from White Barn Farm. So it's non-superwash. It does have nylon in it, a little bit of nylon. I think it's like an 80-20 blend. But these, I reach for if these are clean, and I need socks, these will be on my feet. These are the ones that I want to wear all the time. And then you can see she just knit plain vanilla socks, no big deal. And it's interesting, when she was knitting these, she messaged me and told me that it was really interesting to be knitting on them, but she did not think that I would get a lot of wear out of them, and that they'd be more like house socks than socks that I could actually wear in shoes, because the yarn seemed fragile to her. She didn't think that it would hold up to hard wearing. Funny enough, this last year I haven't gone hardly anywhere. I don't go out for anything. So yeah, I haven't worn them out, but I have worn them a lot in the house, and I really, really love them. And I was like, maybe this would make some really good socks. And maybe, because my friend has got her own stuff going on now, maybe I should make some socks myself. So I swatched the yarn, and I really, really like the way it feels. That mohair content is going to make these really cozy and warm, and maybe these will just be socks to wear around the house. I'm not really sure. I have so much to learn about sock knitting. I have said on this channel many times that I don't like knitting socks. The last pair of socks I knit took me about 8 months to finish. I knit them for my son, and they were shorty socks, because that's what he likes to wear. I mean, they didn't even have I think they had the tiniest rib knit, like right around the ankle cuffs. So I'm hoping that's not going to happen this time around. I bought a new pattern. So it's a toe-up sock, which I've never done. Here's how much I have. This is the Andrea Mowry pattern. I think she just calls it Drk Socks. So it's a 2x2 rib all the way around, and you knit on size 1 needles. I got gauge, surprisingly. And then I spent a little time sort of figuring out what needles I wanted to use, because from when I tried socks years ago, a few years back, I did buy a 9-inch, and I had it in a size 1, but I found this a little too uncomfortable because of my right hand. Like this 2-inch needle was fine for my left hand. I knit English, and I don't know, I considered, like, I know how to do continental. I can knit continental, but I'm slower, and I don't like purling continental very well. that's really slow. So if I were just doing a stockinette in the round, I might have tried continental, but because I'm doing a 2x2 rib, I thought maybe if this were 3 inches, it would be better. So I bought this little thing, this little set. I'd had it sitting in my Amazon my Amazon cart forever. But it's an exchangeable needle set that I could then put a 3-inch on one side and a 2-inch needle on the other on a short, and so then I end up with a 10-inch circle, which was fine, but it still was kind of slow going. Even though this was 3 inches, it gave my right hand rather, something to brace on, because I found that I do a lot of bracing. So the pattern's written for Magic Loop, and turns out I have 2 size 1 needles for Magic Loop. So I started the toe using Magic Loop, while I waited for these, Addy flip sticks, or flip, is that what they're called? Flexi flips. So I waited for these Addy Flexi Flips to arrive, knowing that they would function exactly the same as the Magic Loop needle. It's just that it's a little easier. You're sliding the needle back and forth instead of dealing with a long cord. So these are a little more comfortable for me. So yeah, this little bit of sock has been knit with like 4 different types of needles setups for me, trying to figure out what works best. And I've come to the conclusion this is what works best. And I did try this on, funny enough, because it is pretty easy to just stick your foot in there. And I think it's maybe a teeny bit too big. It seemed like when I swatched, though, that the swatch kind of shrunk down a little bit. So maybe it'll be okay. I mean, there is a lot of ease in rib, though. So I'm going to go ahead and finish them. And if they're sort of sloppy on my feet, that's fine. It'll just be a lesson. And then the next time I knit the pattern, I will knit a smaller size for myself. So I'll just make myself a note. Yeah. I don't really like superwash yarn, I don't think, on my feet. It sort of has a plasticky feel. I don't know how you feel about that. Like I said, I'm so new to sock knitting. I've only done heel flap patterns. I've never done any other type of heel. This pattern has a Flegel heel, which Andrea says she loves the fit of it. So, I mean, I know that that's part of like the sock knitter's journey, right? Is figuring out what heel do you like to wear, like what feels best on your foot, and also what do you like to knit. I was watching the Fat Girl Speaks this morning too, Amy Beth. I love her so much. I just love her so much. She was talking about socks and how it sounded like she's kind of burned out from knitting socks. She's like, even self-striping yarn doesn't really get her excited about knitting socks. So, but I'm excited to knit my hand spun into socks, because I have lots of dribs and drabs of hand spun. So I'll see how it goes. Hopefully I won't, knit the whole entire sock and then one sock and then the other. It'll take me 6 months to knit the other. That's my fear. We'll see though. I am pretty motivated right now just because I want to see how it goes, see how it works out. I actually don't have too much further to go before I start the heel. I've never done toe up before either. It seems like getting fit with sock knitting, getting the fit just right is the hardest part, which is so funny because socks, when you buy them, they only come in like 2, maybe 3 sizes for women at the most, right? It's really interesting. And then, it takes so much to figure out socks, but yeah. My normal go-to sock is a Smart Wool sock, if I'm 100% honest. Like, that is the sock that, if you looked in my sock drawer, that is mostly what I have in my sock drawer, aside from novelty socks that people have gifted me over the years that I don't wear too much. And a small collection of hand knit socks from this friend that from the time that we were doing the exchange. But yeah, that is my sock. Are you surprised? I'm surprised. I'm so surprised. Like I said, I hope it doesn't take me 6 months to finish that pair of socks. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe you'll keep me honest. Okay, so now those are my whips. Now I have spinning to show you. I have been working on, I'm going to just start with doing a little why I'm doing this project, because I did film a video explaining, a little video clip when I first started it, and I didn't like the way it came out. I talked too long. So essentially what happened, what set me on this path of spinning this particular batch of fiber and yarn, is that I saw this sweater called the Center Point Popover, I think is what it's called. I don't remember the designer's name, but I'm going to put a picture of the pattern and the designer on screen. She was, as far as I can tell, commissioned to make the pattern by Purl Soho. So it's a Purl Soho pattern. It is not free. You can purchase it from either Purl Soho's website or from Ravelry. It's posted on Ravelry now. It is a hoodie designed for the linen quill worsted weight yarn. It's a really cool construction. I love the construction of it, and I really want to knit it. I don't generally make worsted weight sweaters. I don't wear them much. But this one, probably in the linen quill too, now that I'm thinking about it. It would be really good for like those transitional seasons like spring and fall. Because it wouldn't be thick and heavy like a wool, but it doesn't matter because I'm not using linen quill. I did a little like, do I want to buy linen quill? I think it would cost me, I think I did the math. I think it's a lot of yarn you need. I think you need like 10 skeins, 9 or 10 skeins to do the sweater. So the yarn averages, I think, is around $20. So that's a lot. That's like $200 of yarn, which, okay, I spent $200 of yarn for myself for my birthday on cashmere yarn. And, I can spend $200 on a project, but it's hard for me. It's funny. I have a tangential thing that I want to talk about, but I'm going to come back to it. Let me finish this story. So anyway, I could not convince myself to spend the money on that particular yarn, and I have no worsted weight yarn in my stash. So I thought to myself, well, couldn't I spin worsted weight? Why not, right? I could spend some worsted weight yarn. So I started to go through my Fibre, and that's what the story you're going to get next in the clips that I filmed before. So I'm going to take you through my process of developing this yarn for the Center Point Popover, if that's the name of it. Okay, to have enough fiber, the amount of fiber I need for this sweater is crazy. I think I would need 24 ounces, anywhere from like 22 to 24 ounces of fiber to spin enough worsted weight. My plan is to do a 4-ply. So make 4 50-gram bobbins, then do a 4-ply right on my spinning wheel. Instead of doing a 2-ply and then plying the two plies together, I'm just going to do a straight 4-ply. So I buy my fiber usually in 8 ounces. ounce, 4 to 8 ounce increments, sometimes 2 ounce increments, but 8 ounces will get me enough fingering weight. Will get me enough fiber to make a fingering weight sweaters quantity. So that's usually my philosophy for buying fiber. So what I have here is some, like this was a club. This was, I showed you this before, but each of these braids are 4 ounces. So they go together, but they're not exact matches. This is a 6 ounce bullseye bump from Loop Fiber Studio that I bought at Vogue Knitting Live in 2019, I think. I've had this a while. And then these are some 4 ounce braids that I got from, can you see there? These are new. I just got these. So it's called Candy Mountain. It's created by Elsie. Yeah, so I bought 8 ounces of this because I really loved it and I thought it would make a really cool rainbowish but blue-based sweater. So I got 8 ounces of that. Yeah, and this is from Kim Dye's Yarn. This is her, I can't remember the colorway name. I'll pop it on screen. But yeah, I also bought 8 ounces of this. This is Falkland Merino. This is Merino. This is Merino. These are Targi. All right, so to make this work, I think I need to put together, I don't know how I'll do the plying, but I would need to combo up somehow all of these, or most of these together. I don't really need all of them. So I was trying to just lay them all out and take a look at what is most like the other. So certainly, so this one is really different. So hopefully I can take that out of the equation. But these 2 braids with this fiber bump really go together well, and they're all the same fiber. They're all merino. So this would give me 8 plus 6. So this, I have 14 ounces right here with this. So I still need another 10 ounces or so. Okay, I laid them out, and actually this is so different. I think I'm better off saving that for its own spin, and then using this instead. Also, in terms of feel, though this is Targi, it actually, I know it's going to spin differently, slightly differently than the merino, but they feel more similar to me. This is a little softer, but that Falkland merino is got a much more spongier feel, like a much more sort of, what's the word? Just like a little bit, yeah, it's got a little bit more texture to it than this. So yeah, I think this will be the spin. So this 6 ounce with the 2 braids of this and these 2 braids, but I think it'll work. Oh, you might be wondering why I don't just buy, because I could get more of this actually. Why not just buy enough fiber? So these are about $20. Each braid is about $20. So I would need 6 of them. So it would still be $140 of an investment. And I really want to use stash. So this has been hanging around for 2 years. These are newer, but yeah, I just want to use stash. I want to try to use up stash, use what I have on hand rather than making new purchases. And plus I really like to solve problems, problem solve. So this is kind of, I just hope I like it. Hope I like it. Okay, so I have taken those 3 braids from Frost Fiber Company, Nicole, and divided them into 11 bags. Each bag is about 28 grams, and I decided I'm gonna spin them in actually this is the best one to look at. I'm gonna spin them in rainbow order. I'm gonna start with this dark sort of maroon color, go to the pink, orange, yellow, then the green, lime green. So this blue would basically be like over here. yeah, so I'm going to do that order with these skeins. And okay, so here's an update to my 4-ply yarn that I'm making. So I have now completely spun one braid onto this big fat bobbin here, one of the jumbo bobbins. This holds, well, you can see it easily holds 4 ounces. So that's what it's designed to do, to hold up to 4 ounces of fiber. So this is what I often use when I'm plying big skeins. I do the singles on the little 50 gram or 2 ounce bobbins, and then ply 2 of these or 3 of these onto the big bobbin. Okay, that's just a little technicality. Yeah, so I have now, I'm ready to do the 4-ply. So this is my Lazy Kate. There are 3 bobbins here. These bright colored bobbins are, oops, sorry about the jiggling. These bright colored bobbins are these that I showed you before, these 28 gram Roy G. Biv setup of of the frost fiber braids that I got, merino. This center one is this Fibre Bullseye from Loop Fiber Studio. So I showed it to you in the first video about this. So I've been spinning from the center, and it comes out in this really thin ribbon, which is it's really nice. It's beautiful fiber. It's so freaking soft. I'll have to look up what the micron is on this. So what is happening on the spools is that this fiber is creating really, really long bands of color. So these are, I have 4 colors on here, right? I think it's 4 colors. I think I have 4 colors on this. 4 shades of blue. It might be 3. I can't remember. But so you can see like the way this is set up. So each of these, so I can probably get another, like almost all of what's left here. So each bobbin will have like 3 to 4 colors, 3 to 4 shades of blue in really long stretches. These little guys have short strips, like so you can see the way they're spread out. So this is, I just started with this light blue here. I don't know if I'm explaining this well. I may do a lot of editing. There's one, but underneath is this dark green, and that dark green goes for quite a while before it changes to another color. I don't remember. I know there's a bright blue in there at the very bottom. These are shorter than these, and then even shorter still is this. So this I tore the 4 ounce braid down into about 20 strips of color. I have a little clip I'm going to insert here where I show you how it laid out. So the entire braid, that pink is in the center, and at either end is this dark blue. And then all those other colors happen in between and in a sequence. So I did 20 strips of that sequence over and over. So these will be the shortest amounts of color. So these will rotate more quickly. This will be the second, and these will be the longest. In fact, I think per bobbin, I'm only going to get maybe 2 colors, like per skein, about 2 shades of blue. The way I've done this one now, I'll have 3. Probably it'll be this light blue, this dark green, and then whatever's underneath. And surprise, I'm like super organized this time around. I did a sample. So this is the 3 colors right off, or the 4 colors, 3 colors in 4 bobbins, because these 2, this front and back one, are the same. They're both this. So yeah, I did a sample. I wanted to know if I could spin a 4-ply the way I was planning. I've done 4-plies in the past, but I've done 2 bobbins to a jumbo and then 2 jumbos to another jumbo. So taking 2 plies and putting them together. This is taking 4 plies and spinning it all at once. I think it came out pretty good. I realized what's going to happen because of this one, this fiber bump, and the way that I'm doing the color, that it's going to kind of make a stripey effect with this, you know, really alternating in very quickly, this alternating in a little bit more slowly. Yeah, I hope I'm going to like it. I love the way the yarn came out. It's really, really squishy and bouncy yarn. I had a little bit of tension problem there at the very beginning, so you could see like on the pink, it's a little tight where the pink is. That's because I had set up my ratio on my spinning wheel slightly differently than I normally do, so it just took me a couple rotations to work out what the proper tension should be. But yeah, it's really, really nice. It's heavy. I think it might be bigger than worsted, at least this little bit. I did this bobbin over here. I've spun it a little thicker than I normally do, only because I was doing it last night and I was rushing, but I think underneath these thick parts, it's going to thin out. So ultimately, it should end up being a pretty nice worsted weight, but wow. I really love it. So yeah, tonight I'm going to apply this and I'll show you the first skein tomorrow, and then I will carry on. I've only done these 2 with this, so I have 11 of these to do total, so I have 9 more to go. And then of course I have a whole nother braid to do, and more than half of this thing left to do. So a lot of single plying, but I just am anxious to see how an entire skein looks, to make sure I like it before I proceed much further down this path. So I'll check in later. I want to show you my setup. See there, this is how I'm doing it. The 4 ply, the 2 bright frost fiber braids on the outside. The center is the loop, and then on the big spool is created by LCB. And then here's what I've got so far. Okay, you ready for the big reveal? Ba-da-da-da. Oh my God, I love it so much. It is so beautiful. Yeah, so laying out before you is the different fibers that go into this. I'm surprised. I actually thought it would be a lot more blue dominant, but it really comes across as a really nice multi-color yarn. Yeah. I have been having doubts about whether or not it is going to be suitable for the project that I have in mind, but I'm going to continue going. I should end up with a total of 6 skeins. I have made a second one, which I'll show you here. It's still damp, so I haven't skeined it. This is a really big fat skein, and this is using some of the fiber that I didn't spin so well because I had changed the ratio on the small bobbins. So it's got some little bit, like one strand is a little bit ropey, but it's very small section, so whatever, I can pull it out if it seems weird when I get around to knitting it. But wow, isn't it so pretty? I love it. And I think I said in one of the clips that I was having doubts about whether or not this was going to be good for that pattern. I think it'll be fine for that pattern. I still have to make 3 more skeins. I need at least, this is about 700, this might be like 750. No, it's not quite there. It's somewhere between 7 and 750 yards. And the pattern calls for, I want to say it's around 1,400 yards. No, I think it's a little less. I can't remember. Anyway, yeah, so I have at least enough. I have enough of the frost fiber yarn fleece to do 3 more skeins. I have 1 on the spinning wheel right now. And then I'll start to, the Fibre by LCB, I will, that'll be the double. Those will be the two bobbins. And then there's one more skein that will just be a single ply of frost. And then I'm out of frost. So I will get 6 skeins total. One will look, I think, somewhat different from these guys. They're so beautiful. There's gonna be some sort of spin cycle-ish that sort of color changing quality to these. One of them, I think it's this one. The first one I did was pretty consistent. Funny enough, the little test thing I did was from the first batch, and the first bit was a lot of this blue. And then what I did after I made the first skein was I started to flip the distance, or the direction of the frost yarn. So one went from plum to blue, and then the other one went from blue to plum, in the way that I laid them out in the video. And so by flipping them, the matching up was a little bit more, I had a little bit more variety. But I think the other 2 skeins really have a lot more variation in the colors and stuff as they go across or go through. So there will be some of that sort of color striping sections in the knit, but I'm here for it. I'm excited for it. One of the blues, I don't know which one of those 3 fibers, but one of them bled quite a lot. A viewer had told me to buy Shout color catching sheets and use those. She said that really helped her keep her colors from bleeding into each other. And so I bought some, and I realized that I was going to have bleeding problems when I washed this one. So I did buy some, and it seemed to definitely, I do think there's a little bit of bleeding, but I still have some pretty bright yellows in there, which I was worried that the yellows were going to get washed out. And I do think they did get washed out a little bit, but it's still pretty nice, like especially this one. This was the one I think I showed you in the clip. I had the turquoise bobbin from the Loop Fiber bullseye bump. So this skein came out a little bit brighter overall, but once I soaked it plumped and stuff, it plays with these. So yeah, I'm going to keep going on this. I'll probably still be working on, you'll see the finished project, or spin project anyway. I should have this whole spin project done by the next time I make an episode. But it's been a really fun spin. It's slow going because it's a lot of bobbins. It's, as I said, there were 11 bobbin quantities, like small bobbin quantities of that frost fiber, and then the other, the LCB Candy Mountain colorway, I put on one big fat jumbo bobbin. I got an entire 4-ounce braid on that bobbin, and I still have some left, but I did break into the next braid. I probably won't use the whole thing for this project, I don't think. And the loop I'm almost out of. So I went through my stash, and I have, from my advent calendar, I had this really pretty blue toned braid, and then I also had this one, this turquoise one. So and they're both 30 grams. So either one of them would be good to sub in for the loop fiber. Even though you're seeing some color gradations and stuff in here, once it's spun, it'll be pretty uniform. So yeah, so I'd have those as backups. I probably will just use one. I'll probably use the blue ones just to stay on theme. with the blues and stuff. Plus this is 100% merino. So this is a better, I think it makes better sense. I wanted to ask you, I mean, all the Advents came out this week. Are you buying an Advent? Like, I'm really curious what you are doing Advent-wise. I held back. I bought one only so far. I really love having a Fibre Advent, and I have not reached out to Le Petit Potions to ask if she's going to be doing one again. That gradient one that she did, I loved it so much. I was doing sort of a little math in my head, and I was realizing that I bought 3 yarn Advents, all small, so all 2 12 skein yarn Advents, mini skeins, and 1 7 mini skein Advent yarn wise. So I bought the cashmere and I used that up right away. I bought a mini skein, 12 skein mini skein from Stitch Together Studio, who has said she's not sure she's doing an Advent this year. And I used that up. And then I bought a 7 skein mini skein Advent from Stress Knits, who hasn't released her Advents yet, because I'm keeping an eye on hers. I'm trying to decide whether I want one. And then I also used my 12 day Fibre Advent. I have spun that and knit it into a sweater. So I've used 3 of the Advents. This is from my 24 day Fibre calendar, and I have not used any of it. I spun all of the Fibre from my 24 day from 2019 and have some of it sitting over there, actually right behind Martha, ready for a project that I talked about an episode or 2 ago. So I just haven't gotten to the point where I'm ready to cast on yet. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. Now that I've seen this, though, I might pull out more of this and see what sort of, maybe I can do some more sort of really cool color blending or color, mixing, like some, instead of doing because my 2019 I stayed tonal, like staying in the color wheel in the same section, so the same 3 colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. But maybe I'll do a little more experimenting with different color combos and stuff. I don't know. I'm gonna try to figure that out. So yeah, the reason I'm talking about my past Advents is because it really gives me pause when I'm thinking about my future Advents. Like, do I want to buy more yarn Fibre that's just going to sit in my stash? Because I have this, I've realized that the part of me that knits projects is not always in agreement with the part of me that collects yarn. I have this piece of me that's collecting yarn. And then I have this other piece of me who's knitting projects. And the part of me that knits projects is okay working with the collection that this other part of me is doing, but they're not always talking to each other. These 2 different aspects of me. They're not always talking to each other. So the one that collects Fibre and yarn is like, yeah, I want Advents because they're so fun, and they're just like, at my age, I'm not getting Christmas gifts like crazy like you do when you're young. I don't have anyone who really buys very much for me at Christmas time, so I like to treat myself to some cool gifts, and I love sharing my Advents on my channel. It's so fun. So I want some, but I've realized that smaller yarn wise anyway, smaller is better. So a 12-day, a 7-day, and maybe even a 10. No, I don't really like the 10 grams. I like the 20 grams. So anyway, I have not seen very many vendors, yarn dyers, making 12 days, less than 24 days. There haven't been that many options yet. So it's funny though, because like a 24-day is so much work for them. You'd think that they would be willing to offer smaller ones because it would be less work for them too. So yeah, I bought one 12-day from Grenouille Yarn Company, whose yarn I've loved. She's a Canadian dyer. I've never bought any. I have always long admired it. She dyes in sort of like dark moody colors, and the theme was something dark and moody. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I went ahead and bought a 12-day mini skein set advent from her, and I wouldn't mind buying another one, but I've been keeping an eye on the dyers whose work I really like. It's so hard though, isn't it? Like, it's so difficult because, like Chelsea Yarns, for example, I like her advents. I like the enthusiasm and the attention to detail that she puts into her advents. I've never had one. I've just watched other people open them, and they're very pretty. I really wanted to buy one, but I didn't want to buy a 24-day. So I'm having a hard time pulling the trigger on a 24-day because I still have my 24-day, most of it, more than half of it, in my superwash mini jar over there. I have a lot of it still. So I guess what I'm saying is that I find the 24 skeins, mini skeins, a little overwhelming. Like that quantity is a little overwhelming for me for planning a project. Which makes sense because, like, if it's a 20-gram mini skein, I can get a sweater's quantity out of 3 fingering weight skeins. I actually only need 2.5 skeins of fingering weight sock yarn. That's 12 mini skeins right there. So that's a sweater's quantity. So if I'm getting 24 skeins, that's 2 sweaters quantities. So it's a lot. It's a lot of yarn. Fiber wise, I'm torn on that too. There was one, first of all, fiber advent calendars are very hard to find. They're not as prolific and as, available as the mini skeins. So I saw a fiber artist post her advent calendar. It was 24 days. And I couldn't bring myself to buy it because I don't know what Le Petit Potions is going to do. What if she does nothing? Then I'm stuck with nothing. I guess that's okay. I guess that's what it comes down to. You just have to say, all right, it's fine. It's totally fine. And I also want to see if Cashmere Treats does one this year. If she does a 24-day, I might buy a 24-day if that's the only option. Last year she did 12 and 24-day, and I bought the 12-day. Loved it. Those were DK though, and those skeins were only 10 grams. So 24-day 10 grams of DK would be that would be sweaters quantity, I think. The whole 24. So I don't know. I have to figure it out. Kind of gonna do more waiting and seeing though. I didn't jump on the bandwagon with any of the dyers that have come up with their advents so far. We'll see. What are you doing? Tell me what you're doing. I want to know. Do you even do them? Maybe you don't. Maybe they're unimportant to you. I don't know. I'm curious. Just tell me. And there'll be some outro footage of the spring weather we've been having, and some spring images and stuff, some pretty things to see. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. I deeply appreciate you taking the time to be here, and I love reading your comments and commenting back to you. Yeah, so you comment below about anything that is of interest to you that I have covered in this episode, and I will see you again in a couple weeks. Take care.